welcome to Monmouth in Focus, a program about the services and functions of Monmouth County government. I'm Commissioner Director Tom Arnone. Today we are joined by Eric from Talercio's Deli in Middletown. So Eric, thank you so much for coming on my show today. And your business does fabulous there. It's well known. People love it, and but it has a little history. So I know the business was started back by your dad.
Yes,
I think
correct.
In the late 1980s.
Yes, it was. In 1988 he started.
So how did it become such a major success?
I mean, it was a shot that they wanted to take. It was him and his family, him and his brothers, and they were from Brooklyn, and they were looking for an opportunity in a different location that could be building. And at the time, Red Bank, Middletown was obviously, it was not as populated as it is today. And they said, hey, listen, you know what? Why don't we go on the rural side, work on the catering side, because they were always in food, always. Yep. And they said, hey, you know what? Why don't we take a shot at a developing location in New Jersey, more of family-oriented, less city-like, and that's great. That's really where
that's
it was a
really
shot.
The American way.
Yeah, they really did.
But now, and what really is good is the tradition that follows it. And
Correct.
You joined the business.
Yes, I did.
With your dad. So how does that work?
Well, to be honest with you, I never was in it. I never was involved in it. I was kind of, it was to the point where my father didn't want me involved in food because of the sacrifice that really it comes with, and the lack of holidays, the lack of family time, the lack of weekends. Commitment is 100%, no matter what job you're in.
Yep.
All the time. But it is a little different when it's your name and your reputation and your business.
And you know what? We just come, I could see, similar to myself, it's the genes.
Yes.
The Talercio family, they worked hard.
Yes.
And they expect, their children to work hard. If you're going to be in the business, they expect that. Now, Talercio's has become a popular destination for many people, and a lot of people keep coming back and back. Repeat business. Obviously, that's very important.
That's it.
What are some of the signature things that everybody comes back
Well,
for?
the number one thing is obviously the fried raviolis, which is what we're known for.
Fried raviolis.
That is probably, when you associate Talercio's, you associate fried raviolis with them, and the different styles that we do and everything else. Something that my dad's been doing and handing out. He didn't realize he was marketing since the early 90s. So he would hand them out for free when the line was busy and everything else. He just brought his style of business from New York to here. And
it worked.
It worked. And fried raviolis are definitely the most known thing.
So Talercio's has a reputation of the names of their sandwiches.
Yes.
So how did that start? And what are maybe if you could just rattle off a few
of course.
The names.
I mean, the original board that my dad did was based on the workers. There would be workers that were there. They named it after themselves. There would be maybe a couple of, obviously, Italian-American celebrities, actors. When I got involved, it was more of, you wanted to get the community involved. We were naming them after individuals that would come every day.
Nice, I like that.
Yeah, almost like a Cheers type of atmosphere. And then, obviously, we got involved with more of a celebrity or social media side of it, like a buddy of mine is Craig Carton from the radio, from The Fan, and he has 2 sandwiches that he came down and created. There's a list, like Cuisine is all over the place in terms of social media. It was a taste of what my dad did, and then I put my spin on it in terms of social media and, the glamour side of it.
So besides the great product that they have, the great business, family run, Talercio's also is very big in being community minded.
You have to be.
And you guys have really been very involved. Maybe touch a little bit out some of the things community minded that you've done.
Of course. So obviously we're very big with our local police department and all the police departments and the state troopers. We feed whenever they have their meetings down in Belmar, or we make sure that we feed the mayor's office, Tony Perry, weekly. We try to make sure we have we never forget where we come from. and New
That's
Jersey.
important.
You
And
can't.
that's important. And
you
that's
can't. You could. You know what? Everyone outside the reach of Middletown and Monmouth County. Okay, yeah, they could bring certain elements, but no matter what, we're a Monmouth County business.
so Talercio's also, besides being the establishment where they're located and having people come in,
Yes.
they also have evolved to a very large catering
Yes, very
Company.
large.
and
Very
probably
large.
a good portion of your business now.
I would say 80. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, the sandwiches are great. The sandwiches are a gimmick to draw people in. Same as the raviolis. The business is catering.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And no matter what, you talk to
and
any
you guys
type-
have a phenomenal reputation.
Thank you. I
there.
appreciate it. And that's something that my dad did, and I just carried it out.
So, getting back to how it started, the family side, is
Yes.
it just you and your dad in there?
Right now, yes.
Okay.
So my dad is the sole owner, and he's been that way for about 20 plus years now. And I actually probably even longer, and I've been associated with that store now for 13 years, and 12, 13 years, and he's everyone's father. Everyone's
Perfect.
father in that place.
So, real quickly before we end, I know that you're, and I expect that would be you and not your dad. You're the big social media guy.
Yes.
And I obviously take care of that aspect of the company.
Correct.
And just touch a little bit, real quickly, on what you make sure that you get your name out. You get the, I guess, the menus,
Yeah,
the
sure.
specials, what you're offering. All
Absolutely.
Those
I
things.
think that I think anyone that's starting a business and anyone that has a family business has to really look at that side to be, and I was speaking about this with everyone here before, is vulnerability.
Yep.
And everyone hates to be vulnerable. Everyone hates to be behind a camera and have the focus, or in front of a
You're
camera.
changing that.
You have to be.
That's great.
You have to be the face.
So, just in closing, how do people get to know where you're at and how to contact you?
Sure.
Maybe just give a quick
Sure.
one.
So
before
you
we
can
end?
find us on all the platforms, obviously, on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram. You could contact. I'm in control of all the social media. So if you're talking to anyone, you're more than likely talking to me. You could direct message me. You could call the store, email. Anyway, you have to be
Perfect.
out there.
This was great. You guys have a great business.
Thank
Tell your
you.
dad I said hello.
Of course.
And keep continuing. Small businesses are 95% of the businesses here in Monmouth County.
Yes.
We need the big chains. They're here. But more importantly, the backbone
the
of
roots.
small businesses like yours. And so I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Because you're really the driving force, the success of what Monmouth County is.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you, Eric, for joining me today. That's all the time we have in this segment of Monmouth in Focus. We will see you next time.
In today's workforce, competition is fierce. If you need a competitive edge, earn a credential that sets you apart and brings you closer to your goals. At Brookdale, we offer a variety of short-term certifications in a wide range of fields. From social media and architecture to culinary arts and cybersecurity, we help you get trained, get certified, and get ahead. This is Brookdale. College redefined, success reimagined. Take your next step at brookdalecc.edu.
Want a career in media? Covering everything from television and video production to public relations and journalism, the Communications Media Department at Brookdale prepares students for careers in all fields of media. Students can either go on from Brookdale to a four-year college of their choice, or they can apply what they have learned to a job in the field. To learn more, connect with us at brookdalecc.edu or 732-224-2020.
Welcome to the Veterans Corner segment of Monmouth in Focus, a program about the services and functions of Monmouth County government. I'm Sue Kiley, Deputy Director of the Monmouth County Board of County Commissioners and liaison to the Division on Aging, Disabilities, and Veterans Services. Today, we will meet Vietnam War veteran Bart Famian. Welcome, Bart. Thank you so much for being willing to be here with us and tell some of your story. Before we begin, though, you just told me something really amazing, and that is when did you talk about your service, or did you not talk about it? Just tell me that story again.
Oh, the climate in the country when I came home, we were not well received, so we just didn't talk about it. And it was quite a while before, I started speaking, and as I told you, I went to an event with Medal of Honor recipients, and that kind of changed everything.
That got it going.
Yeah.
And you said that you've come to grips with it more, or feel better about your service.
I do.
Since you've started
When I talk
talking.
about it, it's kind of therapeutic.
I bet.
It helps you deal with everything that you kept inside for so long.
Sure.
And,
Sure.
Being a medic, 19, 20 years old, seeing some of the things that I saw, and it was difficult at times.
Yeah.
But, now everybody knows about it.
Well, and that's a good thing.
That is a
I mean, we want to be able to honor our veterans for the work and the dedication they put into keeping us safe.
Sure.
So it's always good to hear the stories, but then you just sympathize with what you went through.
Right.
And you were drafted.
I was.
How'd you feel about that?
Well, I was actually drafted on the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated.
Wow.
So it made a difficult day more difficult.
Yeah, I bet.
Because I don't think anybody really knew what to expect. And we didn't know about it until we got off the plane in South Carolina, and there were armed guards there. And we thought that was a little odd.
Yeah.
And somebody told us what happened, and that we'd be escorted of the armed guard. And,
Jeez.
it was, quite an emotional.
So you did everything a little differently than most.
A little bit, yeah.
I had another question about learning, lessons you learned, or things that you would advise other veterans on if you had the opportunity, just based on having that experience.
Well, when I went into the Army, I was a 19-year-old kid. Wasn't very responsible. Growing up in Brooklyn, the Army taught me. I think most people that know me today would say I'm a responsible, trustworthy person, and the Army had a lot to do with that. And being a medic had a lot to do with that.
That's great.
Teaching me responsibility and stuff like that. So I do thank the Army for that.
That's great.
Yeah.
What I just saw here that you were in the Cavalry Regiment in Vietnam, the Armored Cavalry.
Right, 11th
Tell me a
Armored
little
Cav.
bit about
That's,
that.
Black Horse Regiment.
Okay.
When I got there, my commanding officer was George Patton III,
Oh,
the son of George Patton, and he was actually quite a pacifist. He would go out of his way not to have a fight, unlike his dad. But when he left there, he gave a speech and he apologized for, the 40 or 50 guys that were killed under his commands, And he said had he done a better job, maybe that number would have been less. And the guy that took over was just the opposite. He'd just go looking for a fight, and things kind of changed a lot.
changed a lot, I would think.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the list of all of the medals that you achieved from all of your incredible work, and I just want to mention them, if that's okay.
Sure.
Let me see. You were awarded 2 Silver Stars, 2 Bronze Stars, 2 Purple Hearts, and the Army Commendation Medal for Valor. That's an incredible track record. Anything in particular you want to say about any of those?
Well, I mean, the Silver Stars are obviously the highest ones. The first Silver Star, my commanding officer of that was an ambush. My commanding officer received the Medal of Honor. You need 3 witnesses, and I was one of the witnesses, and I never saw him again after that. I never knew he got the medal. And I was sitting in my backyard with my brother one day, and he's reading a magazine. It's about 5 years later. He says to me, "What was the name of your commanding officer?" I said, "Harold Fritz." He says, "He got the medal." And I never knew it.
No kidding.
I never knew it.
Wow.
And we've struck up a relationship. I talk to him quite often.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
We're still buddies. You know, there's a lot less of us now.
I have one more question for you, Bart.
Sure.
I saw that when you were a medic working over in Vietnam, that not only did you do physical care for these men, but you also did a lot of emotional and mental coaching or counseling for them. How was that like?
Well, during training, I remember one of the instructors said to us that, you know, in your platoon, you know, there's, and I'll use the armored cab as, you know, there'll be 8 to 10 ACABs, there'll be 20 gunners, 10 tank commanders, 10 drivers, but there'll only be one medic. He says, you're going to be their rabbi, their priest, and their bartender.
Yeah.
And they're going to come to you with, my girlfriend hasn't written me in 3 weeks. What do you think I should do? My mom's in the hospital. She's not feeling well. What do you think I should do? He says, you need to have an answer. They need to have confidence in you. And he says, even if you pull it out of thin air, just have something to tell them, you know, because they look up to you. You know, you're their medic.
And they count on you for, obviously, for their health.
You know, you want to earn the name doc, you know, and I think I did that. So
that's great.
I'm very proud of that.
Great, great.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, Bart, for joining us today and sharing your experiences. That, unfortunately, is all the time we have. So we will see you next time.
Unlock your future at Brookdale, New Jersey's #1 community college, with access to 70 programs, competitive esports, and seamless transfer pathways to top universities. Embark on a journey where affordability meets quality. Visit brookdalecc.edu today.
In today's workforce, competition is fierce. If you need a competitive edge, earn a credential that sets you apart and brings you closer to your goals. At Brookdale, we offer a variety of short-term certifications in a wide range of fields. From social media and architecture to culinary arts and cybersecurity, we help you get trained, get certified, and get ahead. This is Brookdale. College redefined, success reimagined. Take your next step at brookdalecc.edu.
Brookdale Community College. Here, you'll find accessibility to over 60 degree and certification classes, both on campus and online. Here, you'll find a rich community of faculty and student life. Here, you'll find affordability through financial aid, scholarships, and grants. Here, you'll find the access, community, and affordability to reach your educational goals. Here, we'll get you there.
Hi, I'm Monmouth County Commissioner Eric Anderson, and I'm sitting here today in one of the crowning jewels of the Monmouth County Library System, the Eastern Branch Library in my hometown of Shrewsbury. And I'm very fortunate to be joined by our new director, Robin Wood. And Robin, I'd love to introduce you and kind of give us a little bit of background of who you are and where you came from.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I am in love with Monmouth County. I came here from Cleveland, Ohio. I worked for the Cleveland Public Library for 13 years before I came here.
We're sitting in the Eastern Branch Library. This is actually the library I came to as a kid. You know, I live in this town. I still, we grew up in this town. I came here as a child up to when I was studying for the bar exam. You know, you've had an opportunity to visit all of our libraries, right?
Yes, I have all 13 branches and all of our member libraries as well.
And how many member libraries do we have?
We have 12 member libraries, and there's 12 branches of the Monmouth County Library plus our headquarters location.
Okay, and the headquarters, it's very exciting. We've done some great stuff at the headquarters.
Yes, we just had a renovation. We reopened earlier this year. Totally redone on the inside. If you haven't gone and checked it out yet, definitely go and check it out.
So, we're here to talk about National Library Week.
Yes.
And celebrate not only libraries throughout the nation, but specifically our Monmouth County library system. And completely a little biased, but I believe it's the best system in the state. Would you agree with me?
I would absolutely agree with you. That's one of the reasons I came here, because it's such a great library system. Wonderful staff, wonderful county.
Well, in addition to, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, we are the largest circulating library in the state.
Absolutely.
We provide tremendous amount of programming for all ages.
Absolutely, from seniors all the way down to newborns. You know, we have services for everybody at the Monmouth County Library.
So what's an example of some of the programs that we do for the residents of our county?
We provide a ton of programming. We have story times for kids. We have concerts for all ages. We have programming. There's games available if people want to come in and learn how to play bridge, learn how to play mahjong. We recently brought in a 60s band and a 70s band, and they play amazing music, and we're drawing in huge crowds, sometimes 400 people coming to a library program to hear a free concert.
So where do these bands normally play?
Manalapan generally, but they also have some concerts here at this location at the Eastern Branch too.
So in addition to the concerts, we do some great programming for the children also, right?
Yes, yes.
And what's an example of some of those programs?
We've had programs where we've brought in therapy dogs, we've brought in penguins at the library, we've had horses at the library, but we also have all sorts of different types of programming. We have magicians, there's just a whole array of different programming. In addition to our regular story times, our children's librarians are very creative, and they bring in all sorts of different performers and people to do cool things for the kids. So.
And I understand that we also provide some services for, the older members of our community, such as tax services.
Absolutely. ARP comes in and does tax prep services for our community members as well. Program guide is available online, or you can come to the library and pick one up, and it just lists everything that we have available. But there's just something for everyone here at the library.
I'm very fortunate I've had the opportunity to interact with the staff of our library system. I'm assuming as director you've got an opportunity to do that?
Absolutely. We have a wonderful staff, very knowledgeable staff. They can tell you anything that you need to know. Sometimes Google is great. You can get all sorts of information on Google, but if you really need to find specific information, a librarian can help you find it much quicker and much more in depth than any kind of online
Well, that's just
service.
like, listen, if you're sick, you don't go to WebMD, you go to a doctor.
Exactly, exactly.
You need to find something in a library, you go to a librarian.
Go to a trained librarian. They can find information that you don't even know is available.
So as we're enjoying and celebrating National Library Week, what are we doing in the county library system to bring attention to our great libraries?
We have a number of great initiatives that we're doing for National Library Week. One of the things that we're doing is extending the DVD loan periods. We're going from 2 days for most of our DVDs to 2 weeks. That's allowing people to come in and take some DVDs home and have them for a longer period of time. We think that's really something that people have been asking for, and it'll also increase our DVD circulation. In addition, we're introducing our Museum Pass program, which is a great program where you can borrow passes to some of our great local museums free of charge. You can reserve them up to 45 days in advance and go visit some of the museums that are local here in Monmouth County and his areas around Monmouth County.
And this is a really great program, and we have to give credit to the library commissioners who have pushed it, and the commissioner board that have supported this initiative. And this gives residents an opportunity to go to different museums, not only in Monmouth County, but like almost kind of the tri-state area.
Absolutely, yeah.
And some of them, I believe, like the Intrepid Museum.
That's one of them.
And the way this system works, right, is you kind of borrow the pass for the museum that you want to go visit.
Yes, you can reserve it's all online, so you actually reserve your museum pass online, and then you print it off online, and then you just take it to the museum and use your pass.
So if one of our residents wants to reserve one of the passes, where would they go?
It's monmouthcountylib.org.
Great, and so I also understand that we have a program that I may or may not need to take advantage of, where if you have a book you haven't returned, maybe have a couple of late fees for it. We have a little bit of an amnesty program going on.
Yes, during National Library Week, we have an amnesty program. And what that is exactly like you said. If you have a book that you haven't returned and you're kind of afraid to return because you're worried that you're going to have to spend a lot of money in late fees, during National Library Week is amnesty. You can bring it in, no charge. We'll take it back, and we won't charge you those late fees on it.
Now, is there also like an incentive if they bring like canned goods in?
We have a food for fines program also for National Library Week. So if you bring in canned foods, you can have some of your fines taken off your card during that week as well.
So in addition to the actual books and ebooks and DVDs, what other resources are available in our great library system?
Yeah, we've talked about ebooks. We have a lot of downloadable resources available at the library that I don't think people really understand what great resources we have. You can download movies, you can download magazines, all right from your phone or tablet, right from your home. Just once you have your library card, these things are available for you free of charge.
And this is through our app, right?
The Libby app, but you could also go right on the computer website and get it as well too. Right. If we do have a waiting list on Libby where there's books that there's a lot of holds on, is the library is constantly monitoring that. So if there's a lot of holds, we can add more books to our inventory to keep those hold lists down, which is really great. So if there are bestsellers and there's a lot of people waiting, we are monitoring that constantly.
And how does it work? So like there's a new release, like maybe people are waiting on Amazon to buy it. How quickly do we get new releases in the library?
We order them while they're still being processed. So you can actually go in and order a book we haven't gotten in the library yet because they get released onto our catalog before the library actually gets possession of it. So if you're one of those people that follows certain authors, go in and do a search on that and put it on hold before we even get it, and you can get in line.
So Robin, I understand one of the great resources we have in our system is Kanopy. What exactly is that?
Kanopy is an online resource where you can watch movies and biographies. And there's an amazing collection. I think there's over 1,100 different movies that are available through Kanopy.
How does a resident get a library card?
So come into the library and we'll get you set up for a library card. As long as you meet the requirements for a residency, we'll get you set up for a library card.
The library system does such a great job for our residents, whether you're 3 years old or 103 years old. And I really want to thank you and your staff for not only continuing to keep Monmouth County Library System the best in the state, but also work with it so it continues to grow and exceeds the expectations and keeps doing great things. So thank you.
Well, thank you for your support, and we really appreciate it. And I'm, like I said earlier, I am very thankful. I think I have the best staff in the entire county, and I'm thankful for that every day.
National Library Week is April 6th to the 12th. Please make sure to go visit one of our great libraries or download the Libby app or learn more information at our website below.